Don't you just hate unskippable ads? Them to multiple local modern animal species. Hi guys. Before the video starts, I just wanted to apologize for the last video. I know it seemed probably pretty rushed and a little incoherent. I want to apologize for that. I promise this video is going to be much better. I just didn't have time to re-record and do the whole thing again of the last one. So I just wanted to let you know that, and let's get on with the video. In 2013, in Poland, headlines were made with the discovery of an apparent vampire burial. The way in which the bones were discovered, with the skull between the legs, was what stood out to archaeologists, which pointed toward an alleged anti-vampire burial. Hey guys, welcome back, or welcome to my channel. My name is Dam Reed, and today we are continuing on our, I guess it's a little vampire series. So if you want to know more about vampire folklore, I would check out my last video. In this video, we are going to focus more on vampire burials, or anti-vampire burials, as it would most accurately be called. So make sure you like and subscribe and stay tuned, because I think my next video will be on the vampire panic in America. So that'll be fun. So make sure you check it out and follow along. The deliberate placement of the skull between the legs is part of anti-vampire practices, which were found throughout various regions of Europe. Now, in the first video, we discussed about how vampires during this time, in which the burials originate, are considered more akin to demonic or ghost possession, as opposed to what our modern interpretations of a vampire being an immortal, soulless, attractive being who likes teenage girls.
Oh! Ew! Dude! What the fuck?
So, in order to prevent the dead from rising from the graves, certain practices were enacted in order to prevent them from spreading disease and plague and just general chaos in society. Some of these practices included, but are probably not limited to, staking, in which a rod is impaled through the body, effectively pinning the corpse in place, preventing it from rising out of the grave. Being covered in stones, again, preventing it from rising out of the grave. Decapitation, which the head is removed entirely, or being placed behind the back or between the legs, which would prevent them from biting because they're headless, they can't bite. Sharp objects such as sickles or scythes would be placed around the neck, so that if they were to raise from the dead, that would also result in decapitation. Tying their limbs together, which would effectively trip them. That's just comical. That is my favorite method, if you ask me. Oh, and also, they would place the bodies face down, so that instead of rising up out of the grave, they would just they would not rise, I guess, just go deeper into the earth, into hell, where they belong, because they are possessed by demons. Anyway, also, patropaic objects, such as coins, may also be placed along the grave to protect the deceased from spiritual or vampiric possession. Vampire burials can be identified based on different grave goods and the mutilation of the body, but it is more accurately described as being deviant, as it deviates from traditional burial methods. Typically, Christian mortuary rituals were the norm of the time and in this region. While Christianity was not the only religion in this region, it was quite the dominating force, especially during the Reformation period. While other religions were tolerated, in fact, vampire burials represent a blending of Christian and pagan mortuary rituals. It's important to discuss when we're talking about deviant graves that we also discuss traditional methods. Otherwise, how would we know what is deviant? Some rituals contribute to the feeding of the vampire myth, and you will see why in a minute. After death, bodies are placed in the grave. The depth is important, as if the individual is buried too deep or not deep enough, it would impact the journey after death. The eyes and mouth would be closed in order to prevent spirits from entering the body. Ankles are tied before being placed in the grave, and the hands are then crossed over the chest. The body will be dressed in a white robe or garment, and the hands will be crossed over the chest. At burial, the limbs will be untied, and the head will be placed orienting the west. I don't know which is west right now. I don't know my orientation right now. Because death is a journey, the ceremony continues even after the burial in order to ensure that the journey is completed and the soul moves on where it is meant to move on. In order to ensure the journey is complete, exhumation and reburial were common practices among this time. This would tell them if the journey is going as it should. If the journey was complete, it was expected that when they exhumed the body, that the bones would be clean, free of any tissues. If soft tissues or blood remained, that would mean the journey was disturbed, creating an almost state of purgatory, which is very not good if you're a Christian, I believe. Or this would make the dead more dangerous to the living as well. The religious practice of exhumation basically fed into this vampire folklore, as suspected vampires would appear ruddy or bloated or bloody. Again, we're going to get into this a little bit more. We touched on this in the first video. While the vampire folklore is found in many regions of the world, and fear of vampires is well documented, there wasn't widespread mania around vampires that made anti-vampire burials very common. While these deviant burials were found in different regions of Europe, they were few and far between. Back in Poland, a cemetery containing 6 interred individuals stood out among 300 others in this grave, as they appear to have been subjected to anti-vampire alterations. 5 contained a sickle. 2 individuals had large stones placed under their chins, and 1/3 of those graves contained coins believed to be apotropaic in nature or protective. These alterations likely were believed to be preventative, as there were no signs of secondary disturbance after they were first put in the grave. Another site in Bulgaria contained a 40 to 50-year-old male dating back to the 13th century. He had an iron rod placed through his chest. Folklore says that vampires cannot stand the touch of iron. And another site in Bulgaria, 2 individuals dating back to the 14th century were also found to have objects driven through their rib cages. Another site in Bulgaria had an elderly man estimated to stand at 1.8 meters. He had his feet tied together and a stone placed over his heart. In what is now Czech Republic, 14 graves dating back to the 11th and 12th centuries, all believed to have died around the same time. They had metal spikes driven through their bodies and heavy stones placed on top. In Lesbos, Greece, an adult male was found in the crypt of a city wall. He was staked to the ground with iron nails in his neck, pelvis, and ankles. An early site in Nottinghamshire, UK, dated back to 550 to 700 AD, contained an individual with stakes through his heart, shoulder, and ankles. Although we must keep in mind for this site, it predates the first vampire folklore in Europe. Apparent anti-vampire burials are not limited to these sites, but it is important to recognize that only a small number of individuals were awarded these types of burials. Now, the number may be slightly higher, as cremation was another method of preventing individuals from coming back. But why were these individuals chosen over others? Why weren't all of them subjected? Why were only some at risk of being possessed by malicious spirits? There are several theories as to why some individuals were more at risk compared to others. So, number one, there is believed a highly recognized theory is the misrepresentation of the natural processes of decomposition. Back then, exhumation of the remains was quite common practice, although they didn't have the understanding of bacteria and decay as we do now. They didn't know about natural gases from the body creating bloating, or the natural shrinkage of the skin creating an appearance of the hair and nails still growing after death, and how the purging of bodily fluids from the body can give the appearance of fresh blood, which may mimic the appearance of a vampire having fresh fed. The way in which an individual died may also be a factor. While many of the individuals didn't show evidence of a violent death or trauma around the time of death, sudden deaths such as drowning or suicide may have also put the individual at risk. Other physical attributes such as having red hair or blue eyes may also have been put an individual at higher risk. So that means we gotta watch out for Ed Sheeran. Does he have blue eyes? I don't know. I know he has red hair. It was likely because these features were not exactly common in this region. Diseases are also believed to be the reason for the spread of this belief or superstition. Early victims of the plagues or other epidemics could be suspected as vampires were believed to spread disease. Although a deeper look into the pollen sites by researchers suggests it could be a combination of a few different things, which now takes us into social theories. A tale as old as time. Marginalization of people who are different or social outsiders are viewed as being spiritually dangerous. Researchers performed isotopic analysis of a site in Poland, specifically looking at strontium levels. So I'm going to be completely transparent. Chemistry is not my strong suit, and this little section is going to be a little bit long-winded, and I've only taken one class on the subject, so I'm going to do it Subway Surfer style. Don't you just hate unskippable ads? I do have my notes here, so I apologize if I'm looking down, but this is a lot. And I don't know how to edit this to be 2 screens, so we're just going to do it this way. I hope you can actually see it. So basically they took strontium samples from multiple individuals at the site, and then they compared them to multiple local modern animal species. Strontium isotopes are introduced to plants and animals through soil and groundwater. And then the whole circle, blood takes over consumption, animals eat plants, and other animals that eat plants, and humans eat both. And different regions will have different or distinct isotopic compositions. I hope y'all got that. I hope you're paying attention. There's going to be a test at the end. So anyway, the site is believed to potentially be an epidemic burial ground due to the fact that it was not on church grounds and some of the graves overlapped. Although it's just like a hint and they cannot confirm this, through skeletal analysis, they believed it could have been cholera due to how quickly it kills, so it would not show evidence in the bones. We know a majority of individuals at the site were not subjected to anti-vampire burials, and based on the analysis of a sample of 60 individuals, only 3 were considered outsiders or non-locals, but none of those were subjected to the anti-vampire burials. So to make a long story short, societal context is important. Locals know each other. They know how they behaved in life before they died. They know how they died. And if they lived uncleanly, it is likely their soul was unclean and therefore susceptible to vampiric possession. And although there is no statistical significant patterns of disease and individuals given anti-vampire burials, there is a relationship between disease, deformity, deviancy, and social exclusion. For example, the individual found in Lesbos, Greece, who was found pinned to his grave with spikes, showed evidence of osteoarthritis and craniofacial problems. It is possible that this individual had facial paralysis, which would give him a different appearance and suggest potential frontal lobe damage, which would cause behavioral or aggressive issues, making them stand out. Now we get more into politics and religion. At the peak of the vampire panic, the Catholic Church would have been the dominating ideology that influenced politics, and it is generally agreed upon that the fear of individuals rising from their grave, this would offer the Church the perfect opportunity to exert their control over society. For example, it is believed that individuals who have committed suicide would be at risk of becoming a vampire, and coincidentally, that is also frowned upon by the Catholic Church. Murderers, thieves, and witches would also be at risk, and we all know how the church feels about those people. So, if an individual didn't want their bodies to become possessed by an evil spirit, then they would behave in a manner that was conducive to the church doctrine. While it could be any number of these reasons, it could be a combination of these reasons why one particular individual was subjected to anti-vampire burial practices. Without proper documentation, we may not know for certain. It is also important to mention that there is a crossover between vampire burial practices and other deviant burials. Individuals who have been executed may also show signs of decapitation, like in the case of the individual found in the UK. While the burial resembles anti-vampire practices that are found across the region, it predates vampire folklore. So while vampire burials are deviant, not all deviant burials are vampire burials or anti-vampire burials. That is all I have for vampire burials. If you like this topic or other spooky topics like ghosts, zombies, aliens, make sure you leave this video a like and subscribe for more videos in the future. My next video, I will be sticking with the theme of vampires, talking about the vampire panic in New England, and I might even talk about real life vampires, see how I'm feeling. Once again, I am Dam Reed. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you next time.